Well, the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial within a trial continues today, and Sergeant Vusimuzi Mogane is expected to be grilled by the defense. The court is looking into the admissibility of confessions by two of the accused, and just yesterday it heard of one of the accused, Bongani Ntazi, who was only charged 4 months after confessing. Our reporter ENC's Manqoba Mchunu joins us now with the details. And Manqoba, a very warm good morning to you. It seems the defense continues with the cross-examination. Let's pick up from yesterday in terms of what happened in court.
Well, Dumole, yesterday the court hearing that accused number 2, Bongani Ntazi, was only charged on the 26th of October in 2020. And this is in relation to the murder of the soccer star Senzo Meyiwa. And this is, of course, a date that sounds very familiar. It's a day in which Senzo Meyiwa was killed back in 2014. So there were a lot of questions that were posed to Sergeant Vusimuzi Mogane as far as that is concerned, how it came about that accused number 2, Bongani Ntazi, was charged on that particular day 6 years after the event. And of course, as far as his rights are concerned, the defense questioning whether or not this was not a violation of his rights when it comes to appearing in court within a period of 48 hours. They say that at the time, Ntazi had already made that alleged confession to police. So why then did the state delay, or the police delay, in charging him for the death of Senzo Meyiwa, given that we know that after his arrest, just 3 days after he had been arrested on the 16th of June, he had then made a statement, or that alleged confession, before the police. So there were a lot of questions about the timing of all of this, of course, with the defense trying to show that this was an illegal detention that had taken place at that particular time. But take a listen to what came out of court.
Unfortunately, Manqoba, the team telling me we don't have the bite for what happened in court yesterday. But let's continue with regards to today. What is expected in court? Surely the defense then will continue with that cross-examination.
Well, certainly, Tumelo, and I think there are a lot of issues that the defense will want to grill Mogane on, more especially on that confession. You recall that this is what this trial within a trial is all about, whether those confessions were obtained legally and whether they should then be used in the main trial against these accused. So two of the accused, that's accused number 1 and accused number 2, had made those confessions back in June of 2020. What the defense is saying is that they say those confessions were not obtained freely and voluntarily, and that these two accused have been coerced, they've been assaulted and tortured by the police into making those confession statements. And yesterday we also heard questions being posed to Mogane about just a day before Bongani Ntazi had made that particular statement as to why police had booked him out of his cell for about 17 hours. And this was just a day before he made that particular confession. We understand he was booked out on the 18th at 8 o'clock in the morning. He was only returned the following day, round about 2:30 in the early hours of the morning. And you recall, Tumelo, that on the 19th, this is then when he had made that particular confession before one of the police officers, a peace officer, who took down that statement at the Moroka police station. So they were asked as to why Bongani Ntazi had been taken for so many hours, if at all, he was going to then make that particular confession. But what Mogane did indicate to court was that, it was actually Ntazi that had wanted to tell the truth, that had wanted to make that particular confession. He says this all happened after they had gone to the mine where Ntazi had been working in Carltonville just to check up that alibi that he had given. You recall that he had told investigators when they questioned him where he was on that particular day that in fact he was at work, and when they then went to his workplace they only discovered that on that day he was not actually working. So what Mogane says is that just moments after that, when they were in the car, this is when Bongani Ntazi then indicated that he wanted to speak and tell the truth of what happened. He then called the lead investigating officer, Brigadier Kininda, who had then indicated that he's going to find a neutral person that is going to then take this particular confession. So he insists that it was Ntazi that actually wanted to make this confession, and of course alluding to the fact that it was freely and voluntarily. We also heard his testimony just last week saying that when they were, with Ntazi in the vehicle, they'd been conversing, they'd been talking, and there were no signs of any pressure or coercion that Ntazi had shown during their trip. So we're expecting, of course, that cross-examination to continue with the lawyer for accused 1 and 2, that's Ntazi and Vusimuzi, expected to continue with this cross-examination. Of course, they have quite a lot that they need to get through with that cross-examination, given that Mogane did not only arrest Bongani Ntazi back in 2016, but he also booked out on several occasions accused number 1, Vusimuzi, and when he went for that pointings out that had taken place on that month of June in 2020. So we're still on accused number 2, Bongani Ntazi, and his version being put to Mogane. We're expecting, of course, that we're also going to hear the version of accused number 1, Vusimuzi, being put to Mogane this morning. And of course, last week also got an indication that the lawyer for accused number 4, that is Advocate Zitulele Ngumalo, also intends posing some questions to Mogane, as well as the lawyer for accused number 5, Advocate Zandile Mshololo.
Absolutely. And of course, when the court resumes this morning, we'll be live for our viewers to get the very latest. Manqoba Mchunu, thank you so much, colleague, for giving us context. This, of course, in case you wanted more clarity as to where exactly this trial within a trial places Sergeant Mogane as well as the accused in terms of the admissibility of their confessions. Manqoba Mchunu doing a great job there, giving us that clarity and context. But it resumes today, and the defense will continue with their cross-examination.